We've had a very hot start to summer, and it doesn't look like we're due for much of a break from the heat.
This weekend marks 30 years since a heat wave killed more than 700 people here in Chicago. Our chief meteorologist, Emily Walls, takes a look at just how much more heat Mother Nature has in store for us.
Yeah, that's right. So we've had one heat wave already and at least 17 consecutive days of above average temperatures to go along with it. We spoke to some experts who say there's a good chance this trend continues this summer.
Comparing last year to this year, it's looking like we're going to be quite a bit warmer than that same period.
Mike Bardot is the warning coordination meteorologist for the National Weather Service. He and his team monitor the Chicago area. According to the Climate Prediction Center, the Chicago area has about a 60% chance for above normal temperatures through the summer.
Obviously, we're very concerned, and we want to prevent as much heat-related illness and impact as possible.
Dr. Alex Sloboda is the medical director for emergency preparedness with Chicago's Department of Public Health. He and his researchers are not only keeping a watchful eye on the weather, but also on how many people wind up in the ER because of it.
It looks like there's about roughly around 114 ER visits throughout the city of Chicago during that period, which is more than we would expect and more than we saw in heat waves last year.
He's referring to the first heat wave of the summer to hit the city back in mid-June. About
20% of those were admitted to the hospitals, so a bit more severe illness that needed further medical care.
This week marks 30 years since the deadly heat wave from the summer of 1995 that claimed the lives of over 500 people in Chicago alone. With temperatures reaching as high as 106 degrees, the Cook County Medical Examiner's Office needed extra refrigerated trucks to store all of the deceased.
And a lot of progress has been made. We see the numbers and the metrics even since the beginning of the 2000s. Like, we've never seen anything like that since then, thankfully.
The 1995 heat wave, being as deadly as it was, brought a lot of lessons learned and a lot of changes, honestly.
Following that tragedy, Bardot says the National Weather Service worked closely with the city of Chicago and other partners to instill some of those changes, like developing heat-related safety plans.
Thresholds were set for issuing what we now call extreme heat warnings, looking at the level of the heat and humidity called the heat index, the duration of certain values, and using that as a baseline for issuing basically warnings to give people a heads up that, hey, this is going to be significant, you need to take preparations, you need to take precautions.
Bardot says another big change following the 1995 heat wave is more direct communication. He showed us the actual bat phone they have in their office that calls Chicago's Office of Emergency Management if you pick it up.
We think about things that have in general changed, communications means, access to information, social media, efforts dedicated to public outreach and encouraging folks to be weather aware, especially when it comes to heat, along with other topics like severe weather. Those have really just ramped up since that time and have continued. We operate very differently now as a weather service, too.
Despite all that, the heat is still a big health concern.
Heat is actually the #1 weather-related killer in the United States on a year-to-year basis, and sometimes it kills more folks than a lot of other weather hazards such as tornadoes and floods and lightning combined.
The temperatures in Chicago are getting higher, so this is something where the heat exposure itself, the problem is going to get worse, so we have to continue to work on mitigating those effects. And when we do get these severe heat advisories, we got to make sure people in Chicago are prepared and aware.
That's why Sloboda says the Public Health Department tries to educate the public about the health hazards of heat through social media and other outlets. It works with other city departments as well to keep people safe during extreme summer heat.
Providing these cooling centers is a big part. They take place at different DFSS centers, public libraries, park districts, among other city locations, which is a big program that the city does. We also have the 311 service that serves a lot of social needs.
Heat isn't the only concern for the summer months. So is severe weather.
I would not be surprised if we had a pretty typical, if not more active than usual, July as far as severe weather is concerned as well, because of the storm track kind of moving over the eastern Midwest, as well as the abundance of the heat and humidity that is fuel for those thunderstorms.
Trent Ford is the Illinois state climatologist. He says the heat can increase severe weather if it combines with the right elements, like humidity, and if conditions are right in the upper atmosphere. We saw some pretty severe weather here last summer, back on July 15th.
Unfortunately, northern Illinois is sort of the hot spot for derecho frequency climatologically in the U.S. and really globally. It's not rare to have a derecho per year. That being said, not every derecho looks like last year.
That derecho produced 48 tornadoes just in Illinois. Of those 4 dozen twisters, 32 touched down in the Chicago area, 11 in Cook County, and 4 in the city limits of Chicago, all in a single day.
Most are a little bit tamer than that. So that type of high-level event is almost impossible to predict this far out.
Ford says what makes northern Illinois a derecho hotspot is simply its location and the timing of the season.
July and August together are the 2 hottest months of the year, so it's going to be warm. And it's going to be humid because we can see that the way the jet stream is forecasted, it's active weather season in Chicago. Every season is active weather season in Chicago, and we just need to be weather aware.
Now, just as you would for severe weather, the National Weather Service says it's important to have a safety plan in place for hot weather. That means making sure you have extra water and food on hand and making sure you have a plan in case you lose power or if your air conditioning goes out. Know where you can go to cool off, stay with family or with friends, or go to a cooling center.